The Ghanaian woman is the symbol of true passion. She has a dash of inspiration and a double of endurance. She's the comforter, the physician, and the chief architect of the home. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Ghana Women Awards Diaries right here on this channel. I know if you missed the last episode, I'm sure you don't want to miss this one because it's going to be power-packed. We're delving into the life of an astute lawyer. By all standards, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana Women Awards is celebrating womanhood, a key element to national development. My name is Nana Kwejuado one more time, and of course, I am going to take you through the life of one amazing woman that you are going to love to listen to, appreciate, recognize, identify, and enjoy. Before we go for a break, let's take a message from the SDG office.
The SDG Goal 5, which speaks to gender equality, is so central to the achievement of all the Sustainable Development Goals. Here in Ghana, we do know that women are the backbone of our economy, and indeed women are the backbone of our society at large. For this reason, if we are to have any chance of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, then we must fully unleash the potential and the enterprise of women around the noble goals that we've set ourselves. We must work hard to connect to the energies and the enterprise of women to give us a fair chance of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And importantly, we must step up and scale up investments in women and girls now. It is for this reason that we here in the SDGs Advisory Unit in the Office of the President feel extremely delighted to have this opportunity to be associated with the Ghana Women's Awards, which seeks to recognize, give recognition to an incredible group of women through whose work many in our society's lives are being impacted, through whose work are changing lives in this country and bolstering prospects for our country's achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. We welcome this initiative and indeed invite all partners to join hands with Brain Consult, with TV3 and indeed the Ministry of Gender to ensure that the Ghana Women's Award become a phenomenal success.
The Ghana Women Awards 2023 is brought to you by Techno, Stop at Nothing, Tasty Tom, and supported by Labadi Beach Hotel, Airport West Hotel, GH Media Schools, Graphic Communications Group Limited, 12 Stage, All Media Communications, TV3, and SDGs. And now from the category of the outstanding female lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lawyer Sheila Minkah-Premo, Managing Consultant of the Apex Law Consult. Enjoy.
As a career woman, you have to be very active at home as well. Currently, I don't have any house help. I wake up early by 5 a.m. I prepare my breakfast for myself and my husband, who is currently out of town. So I'm getting ready to go to work, to the office. Bye. See you at the office. My name is Sheila Minkah-Premo, and I am a career woman. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm a women's human rights activist. I'm a development consultant. I manage a law firm called Apex Law Consults, and I've practiced law for quite a while, since 1989. My mother is called Mrs. Gloria Kufu Anderson, and my father, who has passed away, was called Mr. Kwesi Nyamiche Jima. I grew up with my grandmother and grandfather, who had a lot of children, and one of them was an auntie who became a lawyer. She's somebody I admired. So when I was choosing a career, due to the fact that I really admired her and she was a very hardworking, intelligent woman, I also decided that I also wanted to become a lawyer. I'm married. My husband is called Justice Kwesi Minkah-Premo. And I have 2 children, a male and a female. They are all adults now. The boy is called Charles, the girl is called Sophia. I started nursery school when living with my grandparents at Kropongi Kwapim. It was a nursery school called Asamoah Day Nursery. So from there, I went to the demonstration primary. They used to call it the practice school for the Presbyterian Training College. So I was there from class 1 to 3 when my grandparents were transferred to Kumasi. He was a minister there. So we followed them there. So I continued school at the State Experimental School at Kumasi up to class 6. Then I sat for the common entrance. Then I attended Accra Girls Secondary School from 1 to 5. Then attended Labone Secondary School for my 6th form. Then went to the University of Ghana for 3 years. And then to the Ghana Law School for 2 years. And then later on, when I started, after working for a number of years, I got a scholarship to do a master's in the United States of America. After qualifying as a lawyer from the Ghana School of Law, I was a teaching assistant at the Faculty of Law for a year. That was my national service. And after that, I worked at Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Company from 1990 to 1992. I then joined, the firm was called Akufo & Company, Akufo Legal Consultancy. That was run by an auntie of mine. I joined her in 93. I mean, when I started work as a lawyer, I joined the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Ghana. So after working for a while, I got a scholarship to go and do my master's. And then when I came back, shortly after I came back, the managing consultant of the firm became a judge. So I took over the firm from January 97 and have run it to date. But in between, I've done some other assignments while still retaining the office. I've done some work as one was as a coordinator for family law for a GCZ project titled Promoting Women in the Plural Legal System. And afterwards, I was also the executive secretary for a project called the Ascertainment of Customary Law on Land and Family Projects. I also did that from 2007 to 2011. When I completed the University of Ghana, I became a tutor, working under 2 very important professors. One was Professor Ufosuama, who was a lecturer in contract law. So I took students through tutorials on contracts. Then I also worked under now Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, who was teaching criminal law. So I was also her tutor. So I finished my national service, and then I decided to go into private practice. And I was accepted to work as a junior lawyer in the firm of Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Company. Around this time, another important thing that happened to me was that I was invited at a call to the bar in 1989. The International Federation of Women Lawyers they held what they call a tea party for the female lawyers who had just qualified. We're not that many. And they told us about how we had to give back to society in their advocacy work, including offering legal aid services.
Auntie Sheila is very compassionate about women and their rights, and also about those less fortunate than herself.
Game changer, I do it now, they all do it later. For all the haters, go get your cake up. No, I don't pop and cop from those acres. OG creators up on that radar, steady stacking up. Get up, not dance if you want to. Get up, not shake if you want to. Get up, not move if you want to. You want to, you want to. It don't really matter what they say or do.
Fortunately for me, when I started practice, my office was very close, just 2 buildings away from the Legal Aid Center. So I started attending, even whilst I was a teaching assistant, I would come to town. The office was at Adabraka, to go for the Legal Aid Center to help. In those days, they used to allow women to come there to bring their legal problems on Wednesdays. So I'd go from Legon there to help them. And I found it very rewarding because these are people who cannot pay for legal services, but you get a chance to serve. Then I also joined them in their advocacy work, where they would go to different communities to go and educate them on their rights, basic rights, child maintenance, the laws on property, etc. And I enjoyed doing that. So whilst I was working as a lawyer at the law firm I mentioned, going to court, doing cases assigned to me by my senior, I was also doing free legal services at FIDA Ghana, where they would hand over cases. And it helped to also build up my experience.
I must say I have enjoyed working with her. She's dedicated to her field. Children and women's issues are very close to her heart.
So based on the work I did at FIDA Ghana, when the U.S. government decided to give scholarships to a number of women lawyers who were helping women and children, I happened to be one of the ones selected on that program to go and do a master's in law and come back. In '94, I left Ghana to go to Washington to undertake a master's program in law at the Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. So I qualified, I got the LLM, and then the program also involved an internship. So I was assigned to a place called the Institute for Women Law and Development in Africa, which was an organization that had done a lot of work within Africa in helping to ensure that various United Nations resolutions on women are implemented. And they were writing books, etc. So I worked with them for 6 months. And while I was working with them, I had the opportunity to go to the Beijing conference because they had been asked to do some work on women's rights. The UN had appointed a special rapporteur on violence against women. And they worked with this particular organization to undertake studies in different countries to see what approaches people had taken, different countries had taken to address the incidence of domestic violence as well as other forms of violence against women. So the book that they came up with, the project I worked on was this particular book where the research findings were documented, and that particular book was launched during the Beijing conference in China. I returned to Ghana at the end of November '95 to continue my work as a lawyer and then to also continue working alongside as a women's rights advocate. So in the first 5 years when we returned, there was some funding for us to be working with a program in the university we went to. In the US, in some of their law schools, it's not just academic work. They also do what they call clinical programs, where they enable students to do actual work. So we use the students as our research assistants. So we worked on a number of initiatives. The first one we worked on was, we realized that I had worked on domestic violence to see what other countries were doing, and I realized that in Ghana, we had our general criminal laws, but we didn't have any specific legislation on domestic violence. So my colleagues agreed that the first project we work on with the students was to enable us to come up with a law on domestic violence for Ghana. So we got our drafts, and then we also worked on women's property rights as well, and came up with legislation because we realized that our constitution required Parliament to come up with a law. Article 22 of the Constitution required Parliament to come up with a law to ensure that properties which are jointly acquired in the course of a marriage are equitably distributed. That law hadn't come up yet, so we came up with a model. And once we came up with a model, we would do a lot of advocacy work. We brought in other women's rights groups and did some workshops to advocate for these laws. So we worked on quite a number of laws. I was also invited to coordinate a pilot project which was initiated by the German Development Corporation, the GTZ, which is now GIZ. And basically they wanted to pilot a project in Ghana. It was called Promoting Women in a Plural Legal System. Ghana has a plural legal system. So this project was aimed at undertaking some studies to find out how the plural legal system has an impact on people, particularly women. And I would say that the project it was from 2001 to 2004. So I spent quite a considerable amount of time on the project whilst also running my office. And it was a successful project, I would say, because the strategies that we proposed actually worked and was documented and published and given to governments. Another project also came up where I was also a coordinator from 2007 to 2011. This was a project for the under the Land Administration Project, where a number of development partners, including the World Bank, GCZ, and a number, supported the government of Ghana to try to improve land administration in Ghana. So they also needed somebody to coordinate the customary law aspects of it. So I was also selected to be the coordinator for this project, which required going around the whole country, required going to the then 10 regions. The National House of Chiefs, it was being run by the National House of Chiefs and the Law Reform Commission. And it required they selected 2 traditional areas in every region, and we engaged some data collectors, prepared research instruments for them to go to these areas to find out what the customary law was on family law as well as land law, and documented them. And these were published, and the outcome was also fed into the land administration project. So this went on from 2007 to 2011. And we came up with 7 publications. We call it the Ascertainment of Customary Law series. And it contains information on customary law, on family law, as well as land law. In between, I did other things. I worked with UNICEF on, they have a child and family welfare policy, as well as a Justice for Children policy. I was also the national consultant who worked with others to also come up with these laws. Currently, we are pushing for an affirmative action law for Ghana, because one of the things, the research we also did was that we realized that there was several research done in Ghana which showed that when it comes to leadership positions, there were fewer women in leadership positions as compared to men. This has been the case for quite a while. So we made a proposal to have an affirmative action gender equality law for Ghana. And we keep doing consultations and making advocating for the passage of that law so that we could have more women in leadership positions. There are many boards that you would see, especially the government boards. You see the boards, the pictures, all men, maybe one woman, etc. We think that women also have a lot to offer. So I've had the chance to provide services for ordinary people, people in need of, victims of domestic violence who need protection orders, women who need the people they had children with to help them with childcare and support, issues to do with paternity issues. I've served ordinary people, and for me, it's something I've always been very proud of.
If you jump in fact, Bena P and Ewami. Henning came to from Poland and money drove me in a kind. Choninke Anuchmonke bar, a chonlen on Inkenachoni.
I always love to relax at Airport West Hotel anytime I arrive. Talk of hospitality, right from the car park to the room till your stay is over.
Get comfy, relax, and rejuvenate at the only contemporary hotel with a style of comfort deliberately designed to suit the needs of the discerning guest. Airport West Hotel is situated 5 minutes drive from the Kotoka International Airport at Airport West, adjacent FedEx office. Contact and book us on 0244 356535 or 0302 767870. Airport West Hotel, passion for excellence.
As a person who's done some research, I've had the chance to work with the National House of Chiefs. I've appeared before all the 10 regional houses of chiefs as well as the National House of Chiefs to present research findings. As somebody who's done some work on policy proposals, I have worked also with some ministries, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, with support from UNICEF. I have worked on the child and family welfare policy, Justice for Children policy. These are all national policies that are out there. I've also worked on the domestic violence policy and implementation plan, which is also for the same ministry. I have worked with my organization, Lawa Ghana, and other women's rights groups to push for some legislation, one of which is the Intestate Succession Bill and the Property Rights of Spouses Bill and the Domestic Violence Bill. I've appeared before a number of parliamentary committees to advocate with the parliamentarians or to lobby for these laws that I mentioned to be passed into law. The Affirmative Action Gender Equality Bill, which we are still working on. I've worked with them also on the labor and domestic worker regulations as well. We work with the Ministry of Lands on the Land Act. As a lawyer, I've served my association, which is the Ghana Bar Association. I've been the chair of their Women and Child Committee since 2008 till now. And as a chair of that committee, every year we try to look for places where we can help women and children. We've been to the Nsawam prisons, and we've been to a number of schools and places to educate people as well. At the Presbyterian Church, where I'm a member, they have a legal committee. I also serve on that legal committee.
Ewa mempi wo asafonem. Menkwena me efia me court sajimi. Deba do mominki ha me ne helio ame. Mami papa ni, nya papa ni. Leji mo koni ko ka chuni o sho hia ko kele ba chuni.
I also serve on the executive committee of the Christian Council of Ghana, where I help them, help them with some of their policies, their constitution, etc., etc. I recall a woman, her husband had died, and the man had, I think, 5 wives. So there were problems with the sharing of the property and issues to do with that. So I started doing some work for her. I got a call that the woman had come. She had a goat to come and thank me. She eventually ended up getting a house. We have championed the domestic worker regulations for years. And this also came into being in 2019, and we are very proud that all the work we did has come into fruition. Now we have a law which will ensure that domestic work, where majority of the people who are there, especially in the ordinary level one, are women, will be benefiting from this law, which will ensure that their right to be protected when they work as domestic workers in people's homes. I also have some publications, as I indicated, from a project I coordinated for GTZ, Legal Pluralism and Gender Projects. There are a number of publications. I think I was responsible for 2 publications, which are also out there. There are a few other publications. The Christian Council has a publishing body called the Asempa Publishers. So I also have a publication there where they call Coping with Violence Against Women, where I shared some of the experiences I've had in how women can protect their rights. So that's also a publication that is out there. And a few other publications in some chapters of some other volumes are out there. As a female lawyer working in a male-dominated profession, it hasn't been easy, particularly being in private practice. Balancing work and family life is not easy. Of course, men don't have those challenges, so they are free to spend more time on their research and do some work. As a private practitioner, there are some clients who come, they see it's a woman-headed firm. Sometimes they're not sure that you have the ability to do the work they want to bring. So you always have to work harder, and make sure that you do the work well, to the best of your abilities, to give them the confidence to give their work to you to do for them. My vision is to see more women enter the legal profession, and once they enter the profession, wherever they aspire to work, whether in private practice, in corporations, in academia, those who work with government, or as judges who want to go to the bench, they should work hard and achieve the best. For those who aspire to be in private practice, I'm hoping to see more women-headed law firms or more women as partners in law firms. For young girls, I would encourage them to work hard and to aim to achieve whatever they aspire to In particular, I'd like to see an affirmative action law, gender equality law passed in Ghana to ensure that we have more and more women in leadership positions. And in our parliament, we'll see the same number of men as women, in our parliament as well. One of my the hobbies I like most is cooking. I like making soups, in particular, which I enjoy a lot, as well as other sauces, contemporary, garden stew, etc. Today, I'm just going to make something simple that we can enjoy within a short while. So the food I was cooking for my guests is ready. It's a simple meal of corned beef stew with some vegetables and brown rice. So this is for one guest, which is ready.
The Ghana Women Awards 2023 is brought to you by Techno, Stop at Nothing, Tasty Tom, and supported by Labadi Beach Hotel, Airport West Hotel, GH Media Schools, Graphic Communications Group Limited, 12 Stage, All Media Communications, TV3, and SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you enjoyed that beautiful, inspiring, and motivational story from lawyer Sheila Minkah-Premo. Of course, this is what we talk about. This show is to help encourage and empower other women across the country and even the continent for that matter. This part of the show I love so much is where we are going to jump into, and that's the time with Kafui on the Fun Zone with lawyer Sheila Minkah-Premo. Let's find out how they're going to have fun on there.
Welcome to today's Fun Zone. Today we are asking lawyer Sheila Minkah simple trivia questions and see how well abreast she is with modern trends. Our first question for today: who is the captain of Ghana's Black Stars?
Dede Ayew.
Good answer. Can you name one female musician in Ghana?
There's a Miss V, a pretty young lady.
Do you know any of her songs?
I think there's one that talks about mother. Want to see my mother? Hey.
What a melodious voice. Beautiful. Now to the final segment. Recite any one nursery rhyme that you remember.
Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. I've forgotten the rest of it.
Wow. I am so surprised. I completely forgot about that nursery rhyme. I am so impressed. This brings us to the end of our Fun Zone. Hope you enjoyed it. My name is Kafui Kwachijo. See you next time. Have a nice day.
Fun Zone, there you have it. I tell you what, I get amazed sometimes, but it's not easy because after all these years, you don't want to go back to the nursery rhymes and remember studying law and reading politics and governance and all that. Trust me, you can't go back to nursery rhymes, but I'm sure lawyer tried. Yeah, she tried. She tried. Ladies and gentlemen, that was lawyer Sheila Minkah-Premo, a managing consultant at Apex Law Consult. We celebrated her today. You've heard a thing or two. I'm sure you're learning. This is what this whole program is about. Ghana Women Awards, celebrating womanhood, a key element in national development. We'd like to say thank you to our sponsors once again for making it possible for us. The Ghana Women Awards 2023 is brought to you by Techno, Stop at Nothing, Tasty Tom, and supported by Labadi Beach Hotel, Airport West Hotel, GH Media Schools, Graphic Communications Group Limited, 12 Stage, All Media Communications, TV3, and SDGs. My name is Nana Kwajuado, of course. Thank you so much for watching. God willing, next week, we'll come your way again with another personality, somebody you're going to learn about, somebody you're going to find more about. You get to know and inspire yourself, encourage and empower yourself. That's what this whole program is about. Ghana Women Awards, celebrating womanhood, a key element to national development. Until such time, I keep saying this: live the life you love and love the life you live, and keep your mind always positive. Wow.